Hello and welcome back to Tiny Table Talks. We're here every Thursday on Spotify and YouTube, so be sure to check us out. And please follow us on Instagram at the CC Zone. Last week, the Tiny Table Talks team talked about horror and how it's evolved in TV, film, and video games, and the ways that it's stayed the same. Since it was International Women's Day on Sunday, it will be the center of today's discussion. In this age of globalization, women are being heard and recognized more than ever. However, while we've certainly come far in the women's movement, we still have ways to go. My name is Ariana and I'm in the room with 4 people.
Hi, I'm Chloe. I'm back again. Very happy.
Are you though?
Yes.
Salutations! It is Ben returning for another podcast. He's sitting here having some coffee. I will be doing my best not to eat and talk at the same time because I'm having breakfast while we're recording this.
My name is Samantha. I'm the new one to join this podcast group.
Yay!
Yay!
Oh my god, yes.
Yeah, and I'm Maeva. Maeva
Since the beginning.
since the beginning. I'm not sick, but I sound sick. I would say.
I'm pretty sick.
Pretty sick, but I'm okay. I'm happy to be here with these people.
Again, are you though?
Yes.
So just to kind of start things off, who are some women that you value in your life?
I would say my mom. It's easy.
Me too.
Yeah.
Anyone else?
My mom.
My mom.
My mom.
My grandma.
And your
Oh,
mom
wow.
to your listener.
And there is
And my grandma. My mom's mom.
and there is Asian characters. Do you know in China called Wu Zetian? She is the first female emperor in history, and he is the first woman to participate in policy.
Damn.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah, that's one good role model.
Yeah.
I want to be just like her when I grow up.
But why your mom then for you guys?
Ooh.
Because mom always leaves a very strong impressions on their children.
She's kind with me sometimes.
Sometimes.
My mom's always been
Yeah.
very supportive,
Yeah.
encouraging, protective, and I appreciate that.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, moms and dads, but moms specifically always have like that universal role of what?
No, I'm kidding.
No, all I was gonna say is that they have that universal role of pulling you up when you need support, pushing you into it, but also like calling you out on a sort of BS when they know you're not doing something right. At least that's the case with me. I can't tell you how many times this week alone my mom's called me on. I'm some BS.
I'm glad we all have had good moms then.
Yeah.
Go us.
Love you, mom.
Yeah, she's the number one. Yeah, my mom's the number one fan of this podcast.
Aww.
She would not understand if she listened.
Aww.
She don't speak English.
I have to dub it. Do you have a message for your mom in French?
Bonjour, maman de Chloé.
Yes.
What are some ways that you've noticed female empowerment has evolved, and how has that directly affected you? For me personally, growing up, there was such a shift because before in all movies and magazines, everyone would be airbrushed and there was this whole perfect body, perfect face and everything kind of pushed forward. And over the years, the discussion of what happens behind the scenes with Photoshop and all that opened up. So gaining that knowledge and that conversation being had in like a very mainstream platform made it easier for me to kind of personally accept myself.
I mean, when we were a child, for instance, the movies like Disney, and that was all about looking for the good man, be kind, do the cleaning in the house. And now the new movies are coming out. It's more about women can help each other, like in Frozen or Rebelle. I don't know how is it in English. You know, the girl with orange hair.
Oh, Brave, Merida.
Merida, yeah.
Yeah.
So it's very.
Still the one and only Pixar movie I've never seen.
Really?
It's good.
It's very good and funny.
I do not doubt that for a second.
So it's a woman that have power. She's not just looking after a man or beauty thing.
Yeah.
So I think the little girl now, they are growing up in a more empowering environment.
Yeah.
And when you, as a girl who is still in the junior school or in the middle school, and if you want to pursue something you like and something your parents or the teachers think, oh, it shouldn't be, you shouldn't do this because you are a girl. It's for the boys. Yeah, but now you can try your best to persuade something you like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I definitely agree with that. People are less likely to be like, oh, stop playing in the dirt. or doing that, you know? Like.
Yeah.
Yeah, and to bounce back on what Chloe said, so my grandma, actually, she told me that, oh, you know, like, Maeva, you're 25 now, you gotta get married, have a kid, clean the house, do the laundry. And I'm like...
Pretty much start up your own sitcom scenario.
Yeah. And I was like, no, grandma. For the longest time, I used to tell her, no, I'm gonna be single, adopt a dog, and be independent. And she was like, no.
Also a pretty good sitcom setup.
Yeah. And she said, no, like, you're a girl. You're not allowed to do that. And I was like, hey. We're 20 right now.
Yeah.
Okay, boomer.
The second I'm getting that dog, it's going to be a Rottweiler. I'm sticking on you, Grandma.
Yeah.
God.
Because I think
Stop it on my
she
dreams.
kind of thinks that women in general, if they're single and by themselves, there would be no one taking care of them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So she grew up with this belief, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's true.
So,
I think by the time my grandma was my age, she was already a mother of 2.
oh jeez.
Yeah.
Like married.
Yeah.
Good God.
My grandma always say I was already married when I was your age. When it's you.
Yeah,
I was like,
exactly. Totally the same.
Yeah.
I still remember once when I was going on vacation with my family, I was like 15 or 16, and in the airport I ran into this very old man. I don't know how we got into conversation, but it turned out that he'd basically been around the world and he did a lot of charity things, and he had never been married his entire life, but he always like helped out with things for children. So I was like, well, what about kids? He's like, oh, well, I have a ton of kids. Like, these kids I help out.
They're just not mine.
Yeah, exactly. And he's like, you don't have to... He's like, you know, you don't have to get married. Like, that's not... That's not something you really have to do. I didn't need to do it. And then that just kind of led to, like, a moment. Because up until then, I kind of assumed that, okay, I'm going to, like, go in line and just grow up, go to school, get married, have kids, like, settle down. And, I mean, it's still a fun idea. Like, I'm not opposed to it, but I realized that... You don't have to do that necessarily. You can choose your own path, and that's super liberating.
Yeah.
And I think more so, this old man was definitely most likely able to do that back then without people raising eyebrows at him or asking, like, where are the grandkids? Whereas I feel like that wouldn't have been the case with women back then. But now, women who do choose that path today, like, it's either celebrated or just simply accepted, which is fabulous, I think.
You don't need no man. Had to say it this way. She don't need no man.
So, social media has helped cultivate a platform for conversations and a more universal feminist movement. When was the first time you encountered this, and do you consider yourself a feminist now?
So if you want everybody to be equal, I think you are feminist because you defend the right of women. And before, the name of that day wasn't the Women's Day, but the International Women's Rights Day. So they were defending our right because it's not been that long that we can like vote or work or do simple things from every day. I think social media have been very helpful in the feminist movement. And like yesterday I was scrolling Instagram and I found many groups, Instagram accounts just about female empowerment, like how to succeed in business, we are so great and beautiful.
Yeah.
And like way to motivated us every day. Yeah, so yeah, social media have been very helpful.
Yeah, also even there's one account, I forgot what it was called, but they basically put comparison photos of Facetune photos celebs will put on their profile versus the real photo, whether it's from a red carpet premiere or a press release, or if it's just like a paparazzi photo being like, this is what they actually look like.
Mm-hmm.
And they very much hammered home the fact that we're not doing this to shame anyone. It's just to show that not everything you put on social media or that is put on social media is real. So on the flip side of that, there's sides of empowerment, but also just sides of like showing the truth, which I think is really great.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
It's not just about a woman in bikini and with perfect body.
Yeah, exactly.
Sorry, when it comes to social media, I feel like almost any modern day issue, social media has done the thing it always does, which is help it for a little bit, but then cause a whole lot of problems a little bit down the road. Because obviously it's so good at bringing to light a lot of like serious issues, but people have this lovely habit of going into little echo chambers and thought bubbles where if they have this predisposed opinion on women or whatever topic it is, they can go off and find some little corner of the internet where they can share whatever odd, horrible thought that might be on their mind and propagate it.
Don't introduce the incels, please.
Oh god, I know. See, that's funny, honestly. For the longest time, I truly had like never heard anything about like the definition of incels, and then I started reading about it, and I was like, oh no, was I ever that at some point? I don't think I was ever like full blown like 100% like pure breed incel, but there was definitely like every guy has a little like hint of incel like deep down inside that can like spring out at the wrong times. Because honestly, I do remember back in. Especially like back in like high school, early high school, that was a little bit of like how I felt very often. I was like, you know what? Sometimes I say women are nice or they're pretty, so they should immediately like me back and go on dates with me. Who cares if they like me or not? They should just do it because I'm nice. So yeah, and yeah, after a while you realize no, relationships and love and like just even communicating with women is a lot more complicated than that.
Yeah.
Thankfully, I was not one of those people who just dug in deeper and went into one of those corners of the internet and just whined and complained. I know a couple people who sort of have gone down that road a little bit more, and there's a reason that they're all single right now.
Yeah.
And that they do not have very many female companions.
That's even like on the flip side too. There was that whole period of I'm not like most girls for like a lot of females in the early 2000s. Like I definitely had hints of that when I was in middle school / early high school. I mean, for the most part, I like the positive aspect that social media has made like positive communities and it's given an opportunity for people to get new information. But it sucks if you do get kind of sucked into those groups where it is like a regressive mindset and it does turn into an echo chamber and it just like festers.
Yeah, and it seems that with social media, women are fighting more for their right. I mean, they always did, but they are speaking more, let's say, and it's on every social media and TV show. And it seems that those men that were upset, they are getting even more upset because when we see the feminicide around Occidental countries, they are rising a lot. And in the world, the amount of women that have been killed is 87,000 in 2019. So it's, for the moment, it's more than the coronavirus.
Wow.
Okay, I heard from my roommate, she is working with this woman and she's married. She was saying, my husband wouldn't allow me to study abroad by myself because even if when I speak out like what are my rights and everything, he would beat me up often. And she would show my roommate all the bruises that she has on the arms, the neck and everything. And this coworker of my roommate, right, she obviously told her parents about what was happening. And her parents, they told her, that must be because you're a bad wife. Just cook a good meal for your husband and he will be happy. They said that the husband beating her up, it's kind of normal, apparently.
Yeah, and obviously, like, great thought process there, obviously, like, the woman is getting beaten up. It's obviously the woman's fault. It's instead of just the very sheer, simple conclusion that the man is just a terrible person and is taking out, like, a lot of bad issues on the person that he's supposed to love and take care of.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's those stories always disgust me.
So I was reading this book from Elena Ferrante. The name of the book is My Brilliant Friend. And so it happened during the 16, 17. Basically, it's that girl that grew up. So there is like 4 books. At the beginning, she's like 3 years old. At the end, she's like 60.
Ooh.
And you see
cool.
the evolution of the character, but also the world where she lived, and the relationship between men and women. So that was the beginning of people be able to get divorced and have other kind of relationship. And she said that before, every man was slapping his woman or fighting with her. That was something everybody knew about, but no one was talking about that. So I think before it happened a lot.
Yeah, that's even like how a lot of old couples would be like, oh, well, they've been married for 50 years, kind of thing. But you don't even. But then many people now argue about the whole quality over quantity thing, because it could be like, in those 50 years, could have been like a husband like beating up a wife or something, or it just would have been like, maybe emotionally unfulfilling.
Could have been like a Stella and Stanley kind of setup, pretty much from
Streetcar.
Or if you check Mad Men, the series, all the men in this series have a mistress, and a man.
Yeah, and honestly, I almost feel like a whole bunch of it is like shoved off because it was the 50s. Haha, things were different.
Yeah,
but like still, it was terrible. And like at the very least, it kind of tells you a little bit of like how far we've gone, because at the very least, it was the 50s, and like at least a lot of the lesser aspects of the 50s didn't come along with us to the present day.
Yeah. Well, I mean, some of them, it's like it's gotten better for sure. With that being said, so the theme of this year's International Women's Day is I Am Generation Equality, and they wanted to circle that around to the fact that even though there's been a lot of progress, like real change has been really slow for the majority of women and girls in the world, especially in third world countries. I was just wondering, in what ways do we think that things have changed for the better and are changing for the better, and what do we still need to work on? Just because I know you were saying, for example, that there's a lot of like femicide in France, but then also in a lot of like poorer countries, especially I know in South America, even in the States, there's like and especially for like trans women of color and things like that. So I don't know. Do you guys have any opinions on like things that should be like more talked about in that respect? Or?
I don't know. I'm honestly just a little amazed that in certain countries, arranged marriages not only are still like a really big thing, but like they're almost the norm still. It's the modern day, and you'll see like a lot of South Asia, East Asia, the Middle East, certain places in Africa, even like Latin America, and even here every so often, people will just be like, oh yeah, our parents set us up together, we had never met before, we got married a couple weeks after, and we're totally happy, we're totally cool with that. Our parents made the decision for us, and I'm like, are you from like Mars? Sorry, me personally, I'm like, are you guys from like Mars or something? This is totally like normal for you? If it worked out for you, like, go right ahead. Like, that's fantastic. If you're happy with the marriage that you wind up with, go ahead. But it's just so odd that a lot of your choice got taken out of the equation, and it's just such a normality. I'm just surprised it's not talked about more often, because I guess it's not really. It's not very harmful in a lot of ways, and it's a very like deeply embedded cultural thing for certain countries.
Yeah. That's the thing. When I was little, actually, I remember watching a lot of movies where they'd kind of use the arranged marriage thing as a sort of barrier, an obstacle the character would have to overcome, because I want to marry for love kind of thing. As I grew older, and especially, I think I first learned this in my world religion class, but they had a thing about arranged marriage, but then it was interesting because that was the first time I had heard it framed as being not only like a normal thing, but a good thing in some cases, because some people, like, they had interviews with people who were like, yeah, I'm very close with my parents, and like there was a full discussion before they kind of made the arrangements. They'd always like consult me, so it wasn't some simple like black and white thing where it's like you have to marry this person, right? And that was crazy to me. So I think that's one of the rare instances where like something I've kind of heard of that was previously demonized, like the reverse has happened, where I'm like, oh, I understand that this is a cultural norm in some places. Like, it's not something I was raised with, or something like I would do or my parents would do, but for some people, yeah, like you're right, Ben, it works for them. It's a good thing for them.
That's a trick. Like, I think one of the few like the two like very alluring things for it, I imagine, is that if you are very close with your parents, if they're still a very like strong influence on your life even when you're an adult, you obviously an arranged marriage just pretty much guarantees that your parents are all right with that, and that guarantees like your relationship with them moving forward without any sort of conflict. But B, it also, I imagine, just simplifies a lot of things, you know? Like, could you, like so much drama always comes into our lives just because of, like, who we're dating, who we're not dating, who we want to be dating.
If your family likes them or not.
But yeah, you just call up your folks and it's like, hey, mom, hey, dad, how you doing? Yeah, I'm good. Can I have a wife? Yeah, thanks. Yeah, preferably a woman. Yeah, that'd be great. Yeah, see you later. If you can just do that, it would be a lot easier. Still, it's baffling, because, who you choose to spend the rest of your life with is one of the most important choices of your entire life. And if a lot of that choice gets done for you by other people, even if they are your parents, it just is immaculate. I don't know.
What about you guys? Any, oh my goodness, any things that you see as changing for the better, or has your perception kind of changed about any kind of issues outside of our kind of Western scope?
I think we did a lot for women now, especially in Occidental countries, and that if we still celebrate, there's some girls, they might be like, now we can do whatever we want, what we should celebrate this day again because we obtain all the right we wanted. But maybe now we have to fight for the people that can't fight like in others poor countries, because we are lucky to live here. So maybe we can support that others women.
Yeah,
even if there's still horrible things that happen in Occidental countries.
Yeah. It's still tricky. It's a little trickier than you're making it seem, though, because I definitely agree. We should do as much as we can to help out just the women as the community of women, like, internationally. But the other trouble, though, of course, is that we live in a very still fractured world filled with, 190 different nation states, which all independently decide exactly like what their policy is going to be, like exactly how much freedom their citizens have, and what cultural norms they work under. And that's part of the reason why arranged marriage is still such a big thing, because while some people, maybe a lot of Western cultures, might see that as ridiculous, a lot of countries not only see it as almost the norm, but almost see it as crucial to part of their culture and like part of their family structure. So it's obviously if I think we've seen at least a couple of good times where the international community stands up to any sort of like very bad aggression against women. Like, for instance, a lot of pressure has been put on Saudi Arabia and certain countries in the Middle East for their strong opposition against like women's rights in a lot of points. But when it comes to simpler aspects of women, like, as in, maybe certain like institutionalized sexism, or maybe giving just less opportunities to women, sometimes that falls into the culture, though, still. Because part of the reason, there's a million reasons as to why, but it's very difficult when you look at it from an international perspective, because how far do you go before you're dictating exactly how to treat a different sovereign country's citizens?
But it's like the fact that we stand up for those people that help them thinking that they are support. And I saw many in India, for instance, the following months, many women went into the street because to complain about the behavior of men in the country. And if they did so, it's because they know that with the help of social media, they can be heard not just into the country, but even furthermore, and the country can make pressures on the
exactly. That's right. When the crucial time that we have to stand up and be a part of it, because the moment like us or any country, the U.S., any more developed country should support any sort of women's rights movements in foreign countries that have less of it, is when certain amounts of steam get going for women's movements within the country itself. Like, if protests are starting to arise in places like India or the Middle East or any region that's having it, then it is up to us to to support that and push for the right thing.
We have good situation for women in Occidental countries, but who we are to give advice, because nowadays every day it seems that there is a new case of that guy that hassled this woman.
Oh, like the Me Too movement kind of thing? Or?
Yeah. Yesterday I watched a movie, it's called Scandal, with Margot Robbie.
I think you're thinking of Bombshell.
No, the name
It might
of
be
the
called
movie?
This Scandal in French.
Oh, yeah. It's Margot Robbie, Charlize Theron, and it's a Fox News, right? It's called Bombshell here.
Sorry.
But do they call
no, it's okay.
They call it Scandal?
Yeah, I saw that movie too. What'd you think?
So yeah, this kind of things happen in US also. So who we are, if the government can't impeach.
Oh yeah.
uh,
It was like no.
Cancel, like fight against those women in his own country. What should he be involved in? How the other government manage the way?
I guess in that regard, it's mainly about just spreading awareness and having the discussions, because I think even with the progress that has been accomplished in these countries, like you said with India, there were women who were finally kind of standing up for themselves and calling out the behavior of men. And even I heard about a group that kind of came together as like a vigilante group that were like beating up guys who were known to harass women.
Oh wow!
Whoa.
See, that might be a little bit of a step in the wrong direction.
But also they also came together, I think, for it was something to do with, if I'm not mistaken, child brides and child marriage, and like a lot of women kind of came together to kind of fight against that. So, and a lot of these movements, like whether they might be really extreme or really like appropriate for the time, they've been coming together through social media and like through those channels. So it's been nice to kind of see that positive spread and how the discussions can turn into action.
Yeah.
Because then, like you said, with change like happening in certain countries, it usually to last it should be spurred within those countries themselves, and it should be the people who want the change. It shouldn't be foisted on them by anyone else. Because we have progress in a lot of ways, but there's some ways where things are unfortunately still kind of the same.
I'd love to bring up one aspect is that how do you guys feel about how do you guys think the feeling of International Women's Day has changed now that we're in like a post Me Too era? I remember thinking to myself in high school, of course, me still being a innocent 15 or 16-year-old, being like, no, if I saw something like that at my workplace, I would call it out immediately, talk to all my bosses, and then it would be gone, and then I would be treated awesomely because I got rid of the harassment. Yeah, and that's what all other guys do, because all other guys think exactly like me, and none of them would be ever capable of doing stuff like that. Fast forward to the end of 2017, I'm like, oh, okay, we might actually have a problem here. God. And that just sort of like brought me back to that, thinking that like, oh man, if this aspect of just like sort of almost institutionalized disrespect against women is happening, that for the longest time I didn't think was real, what other aspects of what other aspects in our society where women aren't getting quite as many rights or privileges as men do, which of those exist that I don't even like recognize right now? Which other ones exist that I'm completely blind to? I'm worried, because I'm worried there's probably another huge amount that'll keep popping up, and I'll just be another silent, stunned observer.
I guess to answer your question about like how celebrating women has changed since like things like the Me Too movement, I think it's done a lot more openly now than before, and I think it's being acknowledged by more than just women, which is nice, because like you said, you realized, oh my gosh, all this stuff has been happening. I didn't think it was a reality because it wasn't my reality kind of thing. Yeah. And with, like, I've noticed now more so often for International Women's Day, like, I'll see people shouting at their sisters, their moms, kind of thing. And that's been really nice. And I guess there's less of, because when, I remember, like, in the Tumblr days when the feminist movement kind of started coming up online and on social media, people were very hesitant and afraid to be like, I'm a feminist, because a lot of the times they assumed it meant I'm anti-men. But obviously it doesn't mean that. It means you support the equality of all genders and everyone in all kind of denominations. But yeah, so I think it's positively changed that in that it's women are becoming more universally recognized and celebrated, but more in an everyday sense as well, and not just kind of on these like isolated things. Like International Women's Day last year, when I went to go visit my boyfriend, his dad had like a flower for like me and his mom.
Aww.
So it was like really sweet because I feel like ages ago that wouldn't have been a thing that was done. It wouldn't have been as widely known. You know. In our daily lives, it can be very impactful on how we view the world and how we view ourselves, how we view these kind of celebrations. Did you have any insecurities growing up that could be linked to these kind of roles? And how did you manage to overcome them? Or did the way things shift help you overcome insecurities?
What insecurities regarding what exactly again?
Linked to gender roles and expectations maybe people had or didn't have of you, whether you're a boy or a girl.
Like, you said before you met this old guy at the airport that was traveling everywhere.
Yeah.
So, now I can travel all around the world and do whatever I want. I think this wouldn't be possible before.
Yeah.
But however, since I'm a child, I think before the Me Too movement and all this feminism thing, I never thought of being that I wasn't able to do the same as boy. I never had this feeling growing up. Maybe because I had a brother, and even if I was playing doll, I was playing car with him and football.
Me too.
We share things. We watch the same TV show. I mean, he was watching Anna Montana with me. So, and even at school, I have boy and girlfriend. I mean, sometimes we're doing different things, but never had this feeling of really feeling
Like separated?
Yeah, separated. Until this movement happened. And that I see that for other people, it's
it might not have been like that.
Yeah.
Did it like affect things in your friend group when that kind of awareness was raised? Did anyone kind of want to talk about it, or are things just the same? Because you all realized we have it pretty good.
That never really happened. Just once when I was studying when I was doing my bachelor degree, I had one guy in my class, so we were doing a lot of group work together, and he was kind of macho, saying things like we were doing group things, but it was the only one not doing thing, But he had like this self-confidence. Every teacher was like, oh, he's good, he's the best. He was talking with the teacher after class, so he always had good grade, and he was saying things like, oh girls, you're working so much, but I will be paid more than you. And you can see that guy, he was really thinking what he was saying.
Yeah.
So this is maybe the only guy I would say that make me feel part of the feminism movement. Like I wanted to fight him.
Yeah. Oh my god.
When he was saying this kind of thing. Yeah.
So I actually have a personal experience that happened at university. So I had this professor, and like I have this kind of boyish personality where I don't, sometimes I just sit down like a guy.
Oh, me too.
Like
I just kind of man spread.
Yeah.
You mean like kind of the way I'm sitting right now?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, I'm like spread out on like one of our weird office chairs right now.
Yeah, and he literally called me out for that, and he said, "Oh, Maeva, you're a girl, you're an Asian girl. You should have grew up with these values where girls has to be elegant, soft-spoken." And because sometimes I'm really honest, and sometimes my words can be really harsh. Yeah. So he's like, like as a girl, you should keep things to yourself and not voice out your opinion.
That just sounds more like you were just saying things he didn't want to hear.
Yeah, that's true.
Which is more about his fragile ego than any aspect of his personality.
But if he makes it seem like he's talking very caringly about being more ladylike, then his dumb opinion will probably actually tread more ground.
Did he have an Asian background?
No, he was actually married to a Chinese woman, but they got divorced.
I wonder why.
Yeah.
I'm at the same situation as you, but it's not my professor, it's my mom. Because I'm so energetic and I'm so different from the other Chinese girls. Like some of the girls they are very quiet, and they can do every quiet things like writing, reading. But I'm like energetic when I sound some music and some good background music, and I would dance at street. And my mom just say, "Don't do that. You're a girl. Why are you gonna do this?"
Yeah. I got that from my mom too, where she'll be like, "Oh, like, you know, you have to be a lady. You have to be
Be
ladylike."
a lady.
And it's if I'm being too loud, or if I'm getting my shoes dirty, kind of thing. That was mainly what it was. If I was like getting dirty, doing some like rough and tumble kind of activity.
Yeah.
It was just
Yeah, that really annoyed me.
Yeah.
But when I came here, and I remember once upon a time we were lining to wait in the classroom, and one of my friend heard this music. He just danced, and I danced with her, and I just told this story. Said, "Oh my God, why? This is my mom required me to be a lady." Yeah. So I think it's unfair.
Yeah.
Why?
I know, yeah. I mean, now as I grow up, what I try to do, because I know I got so much of that when I was a little kid, because I was very like rowdy and loud. So I know whenever I'm dealing with like little girls, whether it's like my little cousins or any family friends with kids, I try to celebrate that, or I don't try to like hush them or make them be quiet kind of thing. I'm like, yeah, you want to go play in the dirt? Yeah, let's go play in the dirt. Just because, like, you know, because I feel like that just kind of helps young me too. Because I was like, oh, I wish there was someone there who could have just like done that with me.
Plus, you're just a big playing in dirt fan.
Yeah, I know. I've been referencing it a lot. I don't know, but I grew up with a little brother, so like Chloe, like we were literally playing with boy toys, watching boy shows, and then he joined me for the occasional like girl show, and we played with some girl toys. So very balanced.
Once a week, gotta fill in that. That's My Little Pony quota, I imagine.
Yeah, when I was a child, I really like play the game like PSP, Game Boy, and now I bought the Switch.
Yes.
And yeah, and until now, my mom just say, "Why you spend money to buy the boy video game?"
Oh, Jesus.
It's like, oh, why?
You can get it with pink Joy-Cons. I mean, come on.
What are ways that you felt that you've broken gender stereotypes, or even kind of challenged societal norms in your daily life? Whether it's quote unquote not being a lady or something else.
I suck at most sports. Does that break most male gender norms?
I mean, were you ever given a hard time for not doing sports?
I mean, kind of, honestly. It was just, it wasn't any sort of like after school special kind of taunts where it's like, oh, you don't play sports, so you're a loser kind of thing. It was just, you know, the much more subtle versions of that. You know, I got shunned a little bit more. I was never really able to hang out with like a lot of like cooler guys in the group because they were all really good at sports.
Let's
they were
kick
all
a ball.
Really, yeah. Oh no! You know what was the worst was everyone at my elementary school loved soccer. And there was like this cool part of our schoolyard that was like perfectly designed to be like a soccer field pretty much. And almost every like boy in my class would play soccer those days, like most of the time. And I would try and join in every so often, but to be honest, it got so like boring after like a couple recesses worth, and I was like, guys, can we ever just like take a break and go and like trade Yu-Gi-Oh cards or something like that? Or like play Grounders or something, you know? And they're always like, no, more soccer, let's go!
I always liked playing shooting games. And my mom used to tell me, why are you playing at this kind of game? That's for boys. Are you getting ready to go to war? I'm like, no, it's just fun, you know, it's just fun.
Shooting people is fun, but I can't do it in real life because people get so mad.
Yes.
So I'll do it on a video game.
And also recently I helped a couple of my friends doing some house construction, like the taking off the panels.
Ooh,
like
yeah, doing like the drywall.
The drywall and everything. And my parents were like, are you sure you know what you're doing? I'm like, yes, I know. And then they're like,
jeez, Mom.
Yeah, and then they're like, but you're not a guy. I'm like, but I have legs, I have arms, I can
brain.
do. Yeah. So I think they are kind of having a hard time accepting that I don't like most
Traditionally
girl activities, I would say. Yeah, so there's that. Oh, I like to build IKEA furniture too.
Me too.
Yeah.
Oh wow! I legit just bought a new dresser. Can you come over to my house and build it for me?
And you can make her a sandwich after.
Yeah. That'll go against it.
Yeah.
Talking about work, like construction or this kind of things, like while I was studying, I was working for a DIY shop at the same time. It's kind of Home Depot in Canada.
Yeah.
Home Depot.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
So it's kind of the shop for men, you know, you have everything for construction, to build a house and everything. And I was in the lighting area, and even like that, most of the time the men, they were like, is there any guy here I can talk to? Like painting, same thing. I remember once, one of my colleagues, it's a man, he worked on the decoration area. So same thing happened to him. One guy, he went and he said, is there anyone for the decoration area? And he said, me, I work for. And he said, no, this is for girl. You are not doing that. And all the time, it's all the time the same thing. Like, people think because I'm a girl, I don't know about lighting. What the yeah, make me mad.
Yeah, it's so frustrating.
But what is very bad is that even women do that. I remember
definitely.
a woman telling us like, is there any man around here? I need some advice for painting. And like we were a group of girls with one man, and she looked at him like, come on boy. And, and he was like, I'm sorry, but you have my colleague just there.
Oh my god, that's like how the teachers would do that thing where it'd be like, oh, I need like 3 strong boys to help carry this thing.
That happened to me last week. They're like, you and you. You're men, you have strong arms. Go carry this like 200-pound table up to the 3rd floor. Have fun. And I'm like, it's the male struggle. You don't even know. You guys have all these other issues that, yes, but I have to carry heavy things sometimes a little bit more often. They'll never know that pain.
Do you guys ever notice double standards just with growing up and expectations? Like, say, for example, I know for guys there's a lot more of this unspoken rule, not so much now, but more so before, that they'd have to pay for all the dates. Or for women, it was more like, skincare is inherently, apparently, a female thing. It's not.
My boyfriend, like, even he is not into like a macho thing, like he always want to pay, and it make me mad because I'm like, no, I can pay. He's like, no, you don't pay. And he never want to do a mask or thing like that. I ask him, do you want to put some cream on the face, or
Like, do you want moisturizer?
he never want.
Yeah, I have a story too. Like, I was meeting up with this guy, and he was like, oh, like, I can pay for bubble tea for you. I'm like, no, I can pay for my own bubble tea. You don't have to, I have a job, have my money, so you can pay for your own, I can pay for my own. And he got so offended by that. He'd be like, but that's rude, that's disrespectful. I was like, no, it's not. I'm just independent, I would say. Like, I don't want to depend on your money,
Yeah.
And especially that wasn't like a guy I've known like for a long time. It was just like the first meetup.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to, like, oh, like, did I pay me for bubble tea? Same for skincare too. I would ask my boyfriend to like, oh, can I put this mask on your face so that you get more moisturizer on your face? And he's like, no. I'm like, okay, well.
Yeah. Honestly, the skincare thing. Yeah, actually, I'd be down for the mask. Well, next podcast, while we're all talking, you should be like applying the mask on my face.
Yeah.
That would be a lot of fun. Honestly, yeah, that was something that happened to me for the longest time, because it was, I grew up almost with the notion that like, oh, women are supposed to have like as many cosmetics as humanly possible for like this, that, and every single need in the kitchen sink. Men are supposed to have like 3. That's it. They're good. Like shaving cream, maybe a little bit of cologne, and hell, throw in some deodorant there maybe if you have the time. And comb.
And it's also shampoo and conditioner.
Oh god. Yeah. Screw those things. I'm a man. And so that annoyed me for the longest time, because like now, I definitely got to up my skin care game. I feel so self-conscious whenever I like high-five someone or just like shake hands with someone, and my hand will feel like dusty, like the floor of like the Sahara Desert or something like that, and their hand will feel like a beautiful blanket, like beautiful cushion of wonder and just beauty. One of my roommates from university, who is a guy, I just want to preface that, has some of the smoothest, softest, most unbelievable skin that you will ever see in your entire life. You will shake hands with that guy. True story, I once shook hands with this guy and it was so beautiful I couldn't stop shaking his hand for 3 days straight. True story. No, but, and yeah, like I found, for the longest time I thought like, oh, just, dude, you have like supernatural, like, naturally, like, perfect kind of skin. And he's like, no, I don't. I moisturize like every single night, dude. What are you talking about? And then he like proceeds to show me like his big collection of like of just moisturizers and whatever like butters or whatever there are. I don't know. See, I don't know. And I'm like, damn. Wait, can I do that? I thought there was like some kind of rule. The rule, dude, right? And he's like, no. He's like, no, that's a totally normal thing. And I think back, like, I know a whole bunch of guys who do that exact thing. Hell, my brother went to a dermatologist for a while, now has a whole bunch of his creams, and I'll tell you what, his skin, just as rambunctiously beautiful as my roommate's. Me, I'm still the Sahara. That's the problem. Do not shake hands with me. Alright?
Oh, yeah,
You'll have like your soul sucked out of you.
I was like with my brother too. He started moisturizing I think like a few months ago, and then everyone in my family just instantly noticed. We're like, you have a little glow going. And I'm like, are you moisturizing now? He's like, what makes you say that? I'm like, you're glowing a little more. Like he's like, yeah, I'm moisturizing now, kind of thing. Like he wasn't reluctant to keep it a secret or anything, but I think he was just very shocked that I was able to catch on to it. He's like, oh, so it like does make a difference, huh? I'm like, yeah, it does. Huge difference.
I wish my brother did the same. Every time I try to give him tips, he's like, no, I'm a man, I don't want your tips.
Oh, God. Get your cooties talk out of here, man.
Ooh, what's our take on like gendered products? So things that are like for men, like man scents or whatever. You know, like candles have to smell like, you know, Jaguar Jaw Mist.
I just discovered it in Canada. I never saw that before.
Really?
Really? That's not a thing in France?
No.
I mean,
No, even in
Okay.
Europe, I never saw that.
And so, I guess in general, like if guys are buying products, it's just like you're all buying the same things. There's no distinction or separation.
Yes, sometimes, yeah.
Yeah, because I've seen tissues for men and like things like that. Like it's gone. Sometimes it gets kind of out of control.
But at the same time, there is this brand that are trying to be like unisex now. Are so many influencers? Like, razor. Yeah, exactly. You can use whether you're a man or a woman, and this is what they say. Like this is their marketing.
Yeah, because women's razors are a lie. I hate them.
Why? What's wrong with them?
And they cost more.
They cost more?
They cost more.
Yeah, but they're not as good because they often have these like little pads because it's supposed to be like, oh, it's like shea butter, like something moisturizing while you shave so your legs are smooth. But then in reality, it just like kind of, it's a little bit risen, so you don't even get that much of the blade. So I will literally just go.
Oh yeah, so like by 5 o'clock, you got like the 5 o'clock like pricklies almost.
Not even by like 3:24.
Oh wait, what time is it now? Hey, look at that.
Is it?
You got 25 minutes to go.
Oh no, that's the thing. So now I think within the last like 5-6 years, somewhere along the line, I just started buying men's razors because I was like, I don't care. It costs less money, and I'm getting a better shave. Like, why not?
Yeah.
I don't know. So it's just funny though how like people just keep peddling some products that are pretty BS, but it's like, oh no, you're a girl, so you have to use that, or boy, so you should use this.
Yeah.
Like,
it's like when you think about the ice cream, you came to girl. It's not the boy.
Like ice cream?
Yeah, because ice cream is very sweet.
Really?
Yeah.
So you've had a guy be like, I'm not gonna eat ice cream. Oh God. Has that happened?
I don't even know if that's a thing, honestly.
I was gonna say, I was like,
There is some food
Ice
that
cream
are
is just
for
one of the
women.
few universal goods that are left on this planet.
wait, no, but what were you saying, Chloe? So
Like there is some food. Sometimes I say to my friends like you should try, and then it's for girls.
Yeah.
Like small carrot. Small carrot.
Are you talking about frozen yogurt, maybe?
Yeah, it's
Oh,
kind of
yeah.
stuff.
Okay.
I ain't eating the frozen yogurt.
Yeah, no.
I'm a man.
No, I've seen guys decline froyo too, or they're just kind of like, oh, like frozen yogurt.
Tell you what, you know what would probably help men have a little bit more of an interest in froyo? Stop calling it froyo. Okay, it's just such like a weird like odd name. And sorry, whenever you say froyo, let's be honest, we immediately think of those like Valley girls in Beverly Hills with their like chihuahuas, their sunglasses, and they're like little mini purse going on. It's like, oh, I'm gonna go over and grab a froyo. Oh my god, it's gonna be a great afternoon.
Do you think that's
Great
maybe?
afternoon, babe. Oh my god.
Do you think that's maybe because like the main store that kind of started it is called Pinkberry?
Get some like almond nuts on a froyo. And, oh my god, I love Pinkberry. It's the best.
I don't know, but it's just kind of like why deny yourself such a nice low fat treat? You know, just because you know it's the little like, and that's not even girlier. Just someone designated it as girly, and then all of a sudden it was.
Yeah, well, it's girly as hell now. I don't know. You can't really just rewind it back.
Everything
I
is
need
about
that froyo though.
marketing.
I'm a man.
Sorry, what were you saying?
Everything is about marketing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
The brand she wants to sell to someone, so she choose the girl.
that's
Yeah,
true.
so attract the girl.
Yeah.
It's like some popular shop, if the web read or go there and post it in the Instagram, most of the girl occupy the most of the customer.
That's true, actually.
Yeah, like the bubble tea shop, whatever brand, and the customer in the bubble tea shop, like most of the customers are girls. Yeah.
But I've noticed, like, I think it's on a small scale now. Hopefully it grows, but I've noticed that marketing in that regard has been evolving too. Like Chloe, you were
Yeah,
talking
more
about.
of a unisex thing.
Yeah, more of a unisex thing, and then even just for things that maybe are marketed to women, like there is. It's another razor actually, but what they do is that for the actual commercials, they'll literally show women with body hair, like armpit hair, unibrow hair, leg hair,
they
kind of
have
thing.
hair.
And it's very more like, so our razors are here for you if you want to shave whatever part of you, but if there's anything you want to keep, then keep it. Like that was very much their aim, so it was more so not shaving because you have to, it was just like empowering yourself to like use this razor to shave whatever you need to shave, and the rest doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll tell you one that was always kind of odd is because every so often still like a very like boy-centric like new version of the brand or like a girl-centric new version of the brand will pop up. One that I always remembered like got on my nerves for so long was in high school. I collected a lot of Nerf guns. Still have a whole bunch of them. They're fantastic. But at the same time, like Nerf started coming out with this alternative brand called Nerf Rebel, and pretty much it was a specific like girl-centric like dart guns.
Yeah.
And they were pink and like purple and like the whole like color palette, and they were like smooth designed, and they had like not glitter but like kind of like diamondy kind of aesthetics to it and everything,
Yeah.
and fired it, and they all just looked so lame. Like, I'm almost certain that if I was a girl, I still would have, like, gone right past that and been like, this is so ridiculous, Jesus Christ. And, yeah, like, every time I saw that, I kept on, like, looking at them and then just going like, do you really need a pink gun in order to be a girl and just enjoy shooting people in the face with darts?
Yeah, that's the thing. Even if someone did design pink guns, and there was a guy who was like, you know what, I actually like this. I would like to use it. It just sucks that it's kind of they're segregated into like, no, you have to use these ones.
If I if I was in like middle school or like high school and I went over to a girl's house and she just had like a gigantic area of normal Nerf guns, she would have been my best freaking friend. If she had like rebel Nerf guns, like the weird like pink little girl kind of guns, I would have just been like, bye. We clearly do not have the same kind of tastes.
Yeah, just sucks
shoot
that
you in the
they-
face, go away with a dart gun.
It just sucks they deliberately, like for some of the products, like it wouldn't matter if it was just kind of more of aesthetics, but then yeah, they make them worse, almost like in a patronizing kind of way. So yeah, like with the Nerf Rebel guns, and even with female razors, like.
Oh god, I you know what? I'm gonna make a prediction right now. Okay, you know what? I bet we are going to see sometime in the next 5 to 10 years a boy-centric Barbie line. It's all focused on Ken.
No, but
Ken and his dudes going out playing football, not eating frozen yogurt, eating ice cream because we're men, hanging out, going to the bro house, the bro dream house.
Sorry, during Christmas they talked a lot about the gender stereotype into kids' toy. And so there is some shop now, they are even specialized on the fact that they don't offering an area for men, for girls or for boys, but for everybody.
All together.
Yeah, so for instance on the little cars you have the picture of the girls, or on the kitchen playground you have boys cooking, this kind of things.
Yeah. It's like you can do what you want.
Yeah,
Like it's all there.
they mix everything. So I think we will have a Ken Ken Barbie. What?
Yeah, oh for sure. It's even
Ken Barbie toy line. Yeah.
I think even recently too, a year or two ago, they had their first CoverGirl had their first cover boy kind of thing. So it's nice to see things kind of evolving in all directions like that.
When I was a kid, I wanted an Easy Bake Oven so badly, but I couldn't get it because in my like dumb head I was like, no, I can't do that because it's a girl's toy. But those cookies and the cakes look so fantastic. I don't want to cook stuff. I want to cook like cookies and cakes like a grown up.
So that was literally like when I was a kid. I really wanted an Easy Bake Oven too, but I had my little brother, and I put the Easy Bake on my Christmas list. But to make sure that my brother could also join me and play with me, my parents bought me a Queasy Bake Oven. You know the one? So that was the one marketed at Guys where you can make gross things like bug cookies.
No! Actually, that sounds like fun though.
Well, the problem was that they didn't taste very good.
Well,
Like, it was really manly. I was like, are you kidding me? So, I mean, I still had it. So, I'm like, okay, close enough. But deep down in my heart, I was like, I just wanted that Easy Bake. I just wanted something that could be cooked by a single light bulb. Like, why not give this to me?
Well, also, that's also kind of why there's a whole lot of just original Disney movies that to this day I still haven't watched. Because when I was a kid, I got like so mindset. It's like, oh, this is a movie about a princess. This is for girls. I don't want to watch that. Let's just watch Finding Nemo again.
How do we think this has kind of created more opportunities in business, tech, and STEM for women over the years? Like, has this kind of changed how seriously younger girls are taken when they talk about maybe non-traditional career goals? Like, I see a lot more girls, for example, like, if they want a science kit, they're going to get a science kit. They won't be dissuaded to, like, you know, do more prim and proper activities.
Learn to be a secretary.
Yes.
The woman's phone. No, in the 50, every woman they were like Las Chicas del Cable. I don't know. It's a TV show in Spain. I don't know how you translate
Cable
it.
girls?
Cable girls, yeah. They were all doing that. Seems like in the 50s. It was the first job for women.
Yeah.
First and pretty much the only job.
Oh my God. And they all did like shorthands and everything too. And But the majority of my friend group, they're all in STEM. They're all either going into sciences, med school type of things, or they're in engineering.
Yeah, my girlfriend is in computer engineering.
Nice.
Yeah.
But, like, I mean, for her, too, is she probably one of the few girls in her class?
I honestly... God, I'm going to get shot because I don't remember. I think it's either, like, pretty mixed. It's pretty equal amounts, boys and girls, or she's a little bit, in the minority.
Yeah, but it's even though that's the case, because for one of my friends who was in engineering, she was the minority at school, and then now she's also the minority at her job, but she's seen things kind of changing and growing, and then she also has kind of acknowledged that because she's in this position, she's also going to try to help bring people up and like make that environment better kind of thing. And it's been nice to see kind of the women before us have kind of done that. Like, things get gradually easier.
Yeah, and let's not forget, like, it's we don't just leave it to like the business or tech sector or anything. There's also a lot more women getting in politics every single year, which honestly I'm very glad about, because honestly I'm not saying in any way like women are like way better politicians than men, but once you have women having a voice in a lot of like issues politically, there's almost always like a lot more light shined on issues that cover just the whole of society rather than just like certain amounts of it. Yeah, I mean, in 2018, like, more women got elected to the U.S. Congress than any year prior, so that was very good. And then there's a couple countries that are starting to have like women majorities in a lot of their parliament. The two that I know for sure are Iceland and Rwanda, and both of them are just have had like a lot of great policies passed, and their standard of living has gone up a lot. And it's just a lot of great signs all around.
My sister is actually in studying like chemistry, I think.
You're not sure?
I think she's studying chemistry.
Bad sister.
And and I think she told me that it's man dominated, I would say. And I've noticed too, because I studied foreign languages too, and there were a lot of girls rather than guys when in languages. But I think now it's like changing a little bit, but I think it's gonna take time, because I don't know why, for example, people are saying, oh, science, math, it's for guys, and languages it's for girls, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not sure why they would think that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Nurse is for girl.
Yeah,
Mhm.
that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nurse.
That's
And
like-
pilot is
Yeah.
for boy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, so I think I've heard stories about like male nurses who will like go in and then people assume they're the doctor, or vice versa. Like a woman doctor will go in and then it's like,
Oh,
oh, you're my
even-
nurse.
Even for director.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Yeah.
my dad always say, most of the successful directors are men. Are
Mhm.
men.
Oh, yeah.
Not women.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, honestly,
Yeah.
it's crazy how like still like lopsided that aspect of the industry is. I remember very vividly in grade 12. I was in film class and we had to do over the course of the year we had to review 3 movies and they all had to like follow a theme. There's a specific thing. At least one of the movies that we reviewed had to be made before 1980, and one of the other movies that we reviewed had to be directed either by a person of color or a woman. And I remember like the 1980 one I kind of understood, but I remember having grievances with the other one because I literally kept thinking in my head, it's like, why do I have to review a movie with a woman director? There are none. And obviously said that like kind of jokingly, but also like it dawned on me in the back of my head, it's like, oh, that might be a problem. But thankfully, I think slowly but surely that's starting to pop. That's starting to like change. I went and saw Wonder Woman.
Mm-hmm.
That was one of them. Honestly, beyond that, I couldn't tell you, but I know that like a lot of pushes in the industry for women directors have been popping up.
Yeah, I like growing up. I had a lot of, mainly for directors. It was mainly male role models, but I had a few female ones.
Yeah.
But I've noticed now over the years, like luckily, there's more people to look up to in that field, which is like amazing.
Yeah.
Which I really, really love. And then even now, there's a lot of films that were directed by females or people of color that maybe weren't as celebrated back then, but are finally getting the recognition they deserve now, and they're being screened at places that kind of specialize in doing screenings in old movies. I love it.
Talking about cinema and movies, I'm kind of sad because last week we had this ceremony which is called César in France.
Yeah, it's like your French Oscars.
Yeah. So that was cool because there were many kind of movies directed by men, directed by women, but the guy that won the most important Caesar is a guy called named Polanski.
Roman
Ooh,
Polanski?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes,
Oh,
yes.
no.
So he was accused of
Raping. Yeah, the
like-
young girl.
He didn't even went to the ceremony
Yeah.
because there were a lot of protests
Mm-hmm.
in front of the building and everything. So it's like at the same time there is this expression like you make two step
Forward, one step
one
back.
step out.
Yeah, 2 steps forward, 1 step back.
What they say is that you should separate
The artist from the person.
Yeah.
Never meet your heroes.
Oh god,
I believe
yeah.
it is the phrase.
That's the weird thing too, because in some cases, in terms of, say for example, with Kevin Spacey now, essentially his career is over.
Oh,
Just given everything he
absolutely.
did and the fact that it was a repeated pattern, he
Yeah.
deserves that. But there was a lot of people saying like, oh, like I'll never watch a Kevin Spacey movie again. You're cutting out so many good movies,
Yeah.
first of all.
I'm sure as hell I'm watching 7 again next week.
Yeah, but it's also like he wasn't the only one who worked on that, right? There were other people who kind of put their time and effort into it. But then what's interesting with Polanski is that everyone knows he did all these things, but people still continue to work with him, and that's a problem.
Yeah.
Like if it was more something like, okay, yeah, like I will watch Rosemary's Baby kind of thing, but I would not support something he did now just because of everything I know.
We're supposed to live in a society where, like, no matter how good the product or the arts or the work that this person has created, if they step past a moral boundary, if they cross a line, like so many celebrities seem to have done, we're supposed to shun them out. We're supposed to let them go. But money talks. Money really talks, unfortunately. And if you can get anything out of a performer, if there's still like even some kind like shred of dignity left in them, or if enough people turn their heads away from what they do, they're still economically viable. And beyond that, the industry doesn't care.
What I'm realizing now is because we're all growing, learning, and figuring stuff out. Like I'm very glad that in a lot of my formative years and stuff where I definitely made the most mistakes, I wasn't being so heavily documented or scrutinized.
Yeah.
Right? But people going forward aren't going to have that luxury. But I think it's really a matter of if people are willing to learn and grow and apologize and then show this through changed behavior,
Yeah.
then that's like the right step going forward. I'll take an issue or be open to cancel culture if it's clear that someone's committed a pattern over a period of years and they're trying to either cover it up or not change. That's what I have like a huge issue with.
Mm-hmm.
So
see, the trick to it is that obviously we can believe that and we can still be supportive of it, but just as any like very big celebrity could pretty much be immune to a lot of like public scrutiny if their work is strong enough. At the same time, any like moderate tier level celebrity could be pretty much vulnerable to complete cancellation if the industry senses any sort of contempt or upset with that celebrity. Like if at all they seem like a toxic figure at the time, that could be it. That could be the cut for them.
Mm-hmm. If you have your own kids or grandkids in the future, what do you think will be something that's kind of pertinent to the women's movement now that they might think is unnecessary or dated?
They say like in 2050, it's the year where women and men will be equal, like on the working level, on the right level. Mm-hmm. So I think it's not even my child that are going to see that, but the little one, grandson.
Yeah. I mean, hopefully that sounds amazing, and hopefully it applies to like everywhere, like every demographic. Because then the problem is that you think it's just men and women, but then no, it's like white men, white women, men of color, women of color, and then it just goes down. It's so sad.
Maybe no.
I don't know. I feel like first of all, I feel like there's still sort of a culture of almost like when you're growing up, and also when you're even when you're an adult, like you almost gotta associate yourself a little bit more with your own gender. Like when I grew up, obviously, like almost all my friends were still boys, and I remember in high school I started getting a couple like platonic girlfriends and hanging out with them, but it was still just such a novelty for the longest time. I feel like maybe moving forward into the future, like guys and girls will still become a lot. Platonic friendships between guys and girls, I think, will be on the rise for a long time moving forward. And I think that actually will help just with a lot of the other issues beforehand, because if you can get to understand the struggle of the other side from direct exposure, that's when you start to really think more about the issue, rather than if you just read up on it or if it's lectured to you somehow.
That's true. It's not, and it's just like women are normal people. Like these are my friends. Like they're not some sort of exotic other kind of species, and like vice versa. For maybe some girls who might have difficulties making friends with guys, like it's not like, oh my god, it's a man. It's like, no, we're just all people.
I mean, let's be honest. Any discrimination always begins with some kind of misunderstanding. Yeah. And the second that you can mend those gaps and actually, have men be informed about a few extra aspects about women and vice versa, that's when true equality starts to really come out. You know. I also think people watch the WNBA a little bit more often every now and then. They'll just be like, hey, like maybe like on average in let's say 2050, on average, like the average person will know the name of at least one female basketball player.
I hope, honestly.
Legit. Like try and tell me one right now. You can't do it, can you? Neither can I, even with a gun in my head. Francine Josephineson. And they're like, you win this time.
So I don't know any name neither of a women soccer player, but it's becoming more important every year. Like the World Cup was in France last year. Oh, I don't know if it was in France, but it was a huge event compared to previously.
Yes.
I think the fact that the men won the World Cup makes the Women World Cup more important. So they got a lot of support. It's becoming more equal. So you still have those guys watching like, oh, it's so slow. What is she doing? She should be cooking. But there is some sketch about that on the internet. But there is still people thinking that.
But do you think in the future then it'll be more level where people are tuning into men and women's sports equally?
Yeah.
Hey, I'll give you a real world example of that right now. Two of my cousins currently are about to play on the women's water polo team for Team Canada, Tokyo 2020.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
And they are amazing players. I've seen them play at Pan Am at a couple, and like I've seen them train a couple times, and they are tanks, honestly. Like I can definitely tell you, like a huge majority of people, both men and women, would never be able to reach those kind of like physical strengths. Because have you guys played water polo? It is
so hard.
it is a war in the water. All right, it is insane. And like it's one of those games where like you will be like panting like straight up like for like 5 minutes afterwards. And yeah, I can very safely tell you, 100 years ago, you take my cousins like that exact team, get them to try and play water polo, the entire Olympic committees will probably be sitting back with their top hats, smoking their cigars, going, you lovely ladies and your silly little sport in the water. Isn't that cute?
Oh, God.
How's about you go home and start making dinner?
Ugh.
Yeah. But not today. And that's a good step.
But even like when you play football into little clubs now, apparently there is this rule: you have to do mixed team. If you don't do mixed team, you are not allowed to play in some places.
Nice.
Sounds pretty cool.
I
I
gotta
have
do that.
friends that play and they have to do mixed team.
Hey, be it guys, girls, or guys and girls, the only constant in any sports rounds is that I will always be picked last.
So, this wraps up our International Women's Day special. Feminism and equality. Feminism and equality can be pretty nuanced and uncomfortable topics to navigate, but it's only in talking about it that awareness can be raised and actions can be taken. We at Tiny Table Talks believe that all voices matter and look forward to living in a world that is steadily becoming more intersectional. We'll be back at the table next Thursday discussing astrology. Basically, whatever your sign is, we'll break it down and figure out if we're all compatible with each other. So follow us on Instagram, Spotify, and YouTube at the CC Zone, and tune in next week. Talk to you then.
Bye.
Hell yeah.
Bye!